What's going on? Vincent Rappisardi, BigBlueUnbiased.com. Thank you to those who like, comment, and subscribed. I really appreciate you guys. Make sure to turn notifications on so every time I post, you get a notification. You can come join in on the conversation. So in this video, I want to talk about Daniel Jones. He has been named a team captain, what that means. I also want to talk about the identity of the Giants. What is their identity? So we'll also talk about that. Okay, so let's start with Daniel Jones. He has been named a team captain. He said that this is a serious job. He doesn't take it lightly. And he shouldn't, right? He's taking over for Eli Manning, probably the most relevant, important player in the history of the New York Giants franchise, both on the field and off the field. I mean, Eli is a celebrated player. Like I said, probably the most relevant, important player in the history of the New York Giants. So this is an important job, being the franchise quarterback, taking over for a player like Eli. It was interesting, before Eli retired, there were many people who were like, oh, Eli should just stay and be the backup, spot start here and there if Jones gets hurt. And it's not a bad idea in terms of like actual football strategy to have a backup quarterback like Eli with experience step in, maybe win you a game or two if Jones gets hurt. Not a bad idea. But I said no. Eli's got to retire. The Giants got to move on, because you need Daniel Jones to take over as at least a leader. I'm not saying he has to be the leader of the team, but at least one of the leaders. It's tough to be a leader when you have a player like Eli there, and it's not that Eli was a distraction, right? It's not that he was causing issues, but like I said, Eli's an important player in the history of the Giants, right? He's one of the most important players they've ever had. So when he walks around the building, I mean, he knows that, right? He knows he's won multiple Super Bowls, multiple Super Bowl MVPs. It's his team, right? It's his team. So as long as he's on the roster, it was going to be his team. It's going to be tough for a young player, especially at quarterback, to step up and be a leader when a player like Eli is still on the roster. So the Giants also named Dalvin Tomlinson, Blake Martinez, Jabrill Peppers, Nate Ebner, and Saquon Barkley as team captains. I would say the one surprise in that group is Dalvin Tomlinson. Dalvin Tomlinson, I don't even remember an interview he's done over the course of his NFL career, but that's not important, right? It's what his teammates see on the field and off the field, and clearly he has made a positive impression. Okay, so now I want to talk about the identity of the Giants. So it was interesting because Jordan Rainon recently tweeted out that the Giants have thrown scheme out the window when it comes to their identity. They want to be known as a physical football team. And I've talked about this many times. Ben McAdoo, Pat Shurmur, those guys were offensive coordinators that just so happened to have the title of head coach, right? So the identity with those teams was about the quarterback, McAdoo and Shurmur making sure the quarterback played well, and that Odell and Saquon and all the weapons played well, right? It's different, and that's something I've talked about recently. Here is a clip. It feels as though that old school, like, team football mentality is back with the Giants. It's not just a coach who was hired to help a quarterback and you're a defensive back and you kind of know that, like, okay, Pat Shurmur, Ben McAdoo, they were hired to make sure Eli is good again. It really feels like Joe Judge was hired for everybody. He's hired for Daniel Jones, for James Bradbury, for Leonard Williams, for Evan Ingram, for Andrew Thomas, for everybody. He's very relatable in terms of that work ethic style that translates to every single player in every single aspect of a football team. When you look at their offensive line, Andrew Thomas, 4th overall pick. Matt Peart, 3rd round pick from this year. Will Hernandez, a former 2nd round pick. Kevin Zeitler getting paid a lot of money. Nate Solder getting paid a lot of money. He's obviously opted out, but they've put a lot of high-end resources towards their offensive line. You also look at their defensive line. Leonard Williams, we know how that trade went, right? A lot of people thought the Giants gave up too much, then they gave him the franchise tag, so they've invested a lot in Leonard Williams. Dexter Lawrence, former 1st round pick. Dalvin Tomlinson was a 2nd round pick in the Jerry Reese era. And B.J. Hill, 3rd round pick, so they've invested a lot on their defensive line as well. So overall, when it comes to the trenches, when it comes to being physical at the line of scrimmage, the Giants, they've spent high draft picks, they've spent a good amount of money in that area because they want to be a physical football team. So that kind of goes along with the identity that they're trying to set. Okay, so the final thing I want to talk about is that the NFL has implemented this new rule where each team can protect 4 players on their practice squad each week, so other teams can't come in and sign them. The Giants have put Cooper Rush, Chad Slade, Ryan Lewis, and Johnny Holton on their protected list, so those guys cannot be signed. It's an interesting move here. We'll see how that goes, right? So that's all I got. Vincent Rappisardi, BigBlueUnbiased.com. Thank you to those who've liked, commented, and subscribed. I really appreciate you guys. Make sure to turn notifications on. Follow me on Twitter at Vince Rappisardi. Thanks again. Vincent Rappisardi, BigBlueUnbiased.com.